Good morning, Flickinger Elementary School. Mr. Harwood here. Joining him is Miss Minchin. And today we have some breaking government news. For those of you aware or not aware, this past Friday, 5th and 6th graders casted their ballots to elect the 2023 Senate. The Senate is the group of members who basically create the laws for the school. That then in turn, Mr. Noteboom, your president, would decide if he is going to sign them into law or not. The Senate is run very similar to how the real Senate is run in the United States. Each class elects 2 senators, regardless of their population, to this particular governmental body. In addition to that, the political party that has the most seats in the Senate, whether it be the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, will technically be in charge of the Senate. And that political party would then elect their leader. Last year in 2022, the Democratic Party controlled the Senate, and in turn, the Democrats in the Senate elected Harper Highfield to lead the Senate. This year, we'll find out as to which political party is indeed going to advance. Behind me is the board. It's going to have all of the teachers' names. Again, the red circles will indicate Republican seats, and the blue circles will indicate Democratic seats. If any green circles do appear, that will indicate that an independent has indeed won that particular seat. So as you can see behind me, as I announce these results, we will begin to see which political party will control the Senate. Senators will be inaugurated after the break. And again, we will see who takes control. Starting off with results coming in from Miss Minchin's class, we had an interesting ballot, all new candidates. Of course, none of these folks were able to run for office in 4th grade. And our first elected seat in the Senate from Miss Minchin's class will go to a Democrat in the Senate. And a huge congratulations to Axel. Axel Austin will take a seat in the Senate for the 2023 school year. The Democrats do pick up a seat here. Shifting now over to Mr. Osmond's class. This ballot was very crowded, and we had a lot of names on this ballot that were running for office this year, last year, etc. For example, we had several members on this ballot that were in the House of Representatives last year. Of course, Donnie was in the House last year, so was Jacob. And then we had a former president on this ballot, Aaron Solomon, trying to snag a seat in the Senate. And we had a former senator on this ballot, Tiana Valenu, trying to essentially be reelected to the Senate. So we do have results coming in, and the first seat going away in Mr. Osmond's class will go to a Republican, and the voters agree Tiana Valenu will win a seat back in the Senate. This will be her 2nd year in a row serving in the Senate, and a huge congratulations to her seat. More results coming out of Osmond's class in just a moment. Shifting over to Harwood's class. This particular ballot was the most crowded. We were anticipating a possible tie to come out of this ballot with how many candidates were on here, but in the end, there was no tie coming out of Harwood's ballot. As a result, 2 members picked up seats here in the Senate. One of them, a Republican, a huge win for Edwin. Edwin W. will win a seat in the Senate. This now gives the Republicans 2 circles. They are currently controlling the lead here in the Senate. Let's take a look at more results coming in. This next one coming out of Gibbons' class. Ms. Gibbons' class had, and again, an incredible ballot here. Gibbons' class, when I looked at your ballot, we had several members in the House last year. Joey Pereno in the House last year. Chris was in the House last year. We had Travis in the House last year. And we had 2 former senators, both Thomas Wolken and Harper Highfield, on this ballot trying to recapture their place in the Senate. Again, Harper Highfield, of course, was in charge of the Senate last year. Well, the voters agree to Mr. Thomas Wolken, a Democrat pickup in Gibbons' class. He will return to the Senate this year. So again, as we look at the board behind me, we are now tied 2-2. This is a tight battle for control of the Senate. Shifting over to DeMarty's class, we had several members on this ballot that, again, had seats last year. Both Maddie Backus and Jaden Washington were former senators. Voters, again, were trying to decide if they'd be reelected to the Senate this year. But in this first seat, it's going to an up-and-newcomer, another Democratic pickup for DeMarty's class. This goes to James N. James will pick up his seat in the Senate representing Mr. DeMarty's class, and a big pickup for him. More results out of DeMarty's class in just a moment. Back over to Gibbons' class. Again, it's a 3-2 race right now in control of the Senate. In Gibbons' class, again, already electing Thomas Wolken into the Senate, and voters agree that the former leader of the Senate, Harper Highfield, will pick up her seat in the Senate, electing 2 Democratic senators from Gibbons' class. Again, Thomas Wolken and Harper Highfield will take control of that class in regards to their seats in the Senate, and will be reelected by voters to the Senate, now giving Democrats a 4-2 margin over their components. Back over to Harwood's class, already electing Edwin to the Senate in his first term. Voters in Harwood's class electing a second Republican to the ballot. This one will go to Joanna J, picking up a seat in the Senate, giving Republicans a third seat now in control here, 3-4. Huge congratulations over to Joanna out of Mr. Harwood's class. Back over to Mr. Osmond's class in the Senate, already re-electing Tiona Valenu to her seat in the Senate. And now we shift over to the remaining seat. This was, again, a tight race. Former House members, former president, newcomers on this ballot. But it was the former president, Mr. Aaron Solomon, who will capture the second seat in Osmond's class, now putting Republicans at 4 seats, Democrats at 4 seats, which means these last 2 seats will determine control here in the Senate. And again, we look at Minchin's class and DeMarty's class, the final 2 classes, and I cannot report today who's going to win these 2 seats because we have a tie, folks. A runoff in DeMarty's class and a runoff in Minchin's class. I am going to announce who is indeed in that tie-breaking bracket for those classes. I'm going to start with Miss Minchin's class. Folks, in Minchin's class and DeMarty's class will go back to the polls today. I repeat, today. You will only have one window to vote. It will be from 11:30 until 12:10. Today is your runoff vote between these 2 candidates in Miss Minchin's class, and it is between a Democrat and a Republican. So again, these final 2 seats in the Senate will determine the power in the Senate, whoever has majority, and then it will be up to these 2 classes. In Miss Minchin's class, the runoff will go between Jamie V, a Democrat, and Trevor Buck, a Republican. So Minchin's class has a decision to make as to who will take that second seat. Will it be Trevor Buck, a Republican, or Jamie V? In Mr. DeMarty's class, another runoff. And again, this runoff is between a Democrat and a Republican. So again, voters in Mr. DeMarty's class will also have to decide who will control the Senate. And in this runoff, Sebastian Wren, a Republican, will be squaring off against a former senator, a Democrat, Miss Maddie Backus. Again, voters in DeMarty's class will have to decide between Sebastian Wren, a Republican, and Maddie Backus, a Democrat. DeMarty's class and Minchin's class, remember, you only have 1 day to vote during 1 window. Today at 11:30 till 12:10, the polls will open for voters to go in and cast that vote for the runoff ballot. With that being said, folks, that's all we have today in the Senate. We will have an announcement on Wednesday in regards to who will pick up that runoff seat and who will indeed control the Senate. For now, we wish all the candidates who ran for office a huge congratulations in your efforts. And now thinking about, do you run for the House, which will take place after the holiday break? And a congratulations to all our current senator winners. Have a great morning on behalf of myself and Miss Minchin. We will see you soon.